This is the plaintiff, Lucia Sotomayor. She says the defendant, her pastor, agreed to put a car in his name until a restriction on her license was lifted. Once she cleared up the matter with DMV, she went to get her car and the thing was booted. The tow company told her there were unpaid parking tickets on it from 2008. Huh? Turns out the defendant did the same thing for someone else, and that person didn't pay for their parking tickets. Needless to say, she's done with that church and is suing the defendant for $4,393.71, the amount she's owed. This is the defendant, Pastor Richard Sams. He says he agreed to help the plaintiff out if she was willing to use the car to pick up people in the ministry and bring them to church. She agreed and then suddenly turned around and left the church. She reneged on their deal and only used the car for her personal use. How can you love God and then take your pastor to court for doing a good deed? Bottom line, he owes nothing and thinks the judge will agree. He's accused of not being too faithful.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff is suing her former pastor for screwing her over on a car deal. But the pastor says she broke the deal by turning her back on the ministry. It's the case of In God We Trust, but not always.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Lucia Sotomayor?
Yes.
You are suing Pastor Richard Sams for $4,393.71. Your damages that you say you incurred when a car you got registered in his name that belonged to you got booted because apparently his license had more problems than your license.
Yes.
What happened?
I met Pastor Richard Sams about 10 years ago in my church. And from there, he invited me to his church. So me and my friend, we went with my kids. I have 9 kids, but yeah. Anyway,
Why?
I went, why?
Yeah, why? Is there a husband involved?
No, not at the moment.
That's why I'm asking why.
Oh,
That's hard, huh? 9 kids.
yes, it was a
How
struggle.
many different dads?
There is 3.
3 different dads. Are they supporting them?
None of them.
None of them.
I do it by
now
myself.
You know why I asked why, right?
Yes.
Okay. So go on.
So I started visiting Pastor Rich's church. And he asked me to speak in his church because I go and I speak in, different churches just based on my testimony of where, God brought me from, through the drugs that I went through. And so I just, I go, inspiring people that they too can come out of it the way that I
Good
did
for you.
and changed my life. I was put on the board, and I was happy, to have an opportunity, to be on the board.
Okay. Tell me about the car.
I called him on May 22nd, and I says, do you know anywhere, that I can get a vehicle? He said that he'll be there, the next day, and that he would bring me.
To where?
That he would bring me to
A
to go
dealership?
to go look
Okay.
for a car. So he came at 9:30 in the morning. We went to like a federal auction by where I live, and we went looking around. But the whole time that we were looking around, I felt a little bit uncomfortable, because he was, the whole time he was just holding my waist and holding my hands, and
Why were you letting him hold your waist or hold your hand?
no. I
Okay.
don't know, but
You know what? You got to put your big girl pants on at some point.
yes.
Okay. Say no every once in a while. Okay. Somebody touches you, puts their hand on your back and you're uncomfortable. Say, I'm uncomfortable with that, and take their hand off your back. It's your back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you sound like you've made progress, but frankly, you've got now 9 little souls depending on you. So seriously, you got to grow up and be a big girl now, right? Okay. Where is his role in the purchase of your vehicle?
He just registered it.
Why?
Because I had a restricted license.
Why did you have a restricted license?
Because I had an insurance lapse on a car that I had.
Did you keep driving that car despite having no insurance?
I did.
Okay, so you got tickets for that?
Yes.
And then the tickets started mounting up?
Yes.
And you never paid them?
I didn't have
And
the
so your
money at
license
that
was
time.
suspended?
Yes.
It's not restricted, it's suspended,
No, it was
which means you're not
restricted.
supposed to be registering a car in your name.
No, it was restricted because I was able to drive to work. Like
Except for you weren't. You wanted to be able to drive everywhere. That's why you were getting it in his name. And so what do? He registers a car in his name.
Yes.
The insurance is in his name.
And it's coming out
Where
of my account.
meanwhile, you're the person who's actually driving, but we lie to the insurance company. They think he's the risk, but it's you who's the risk. It's your car.
Yes.
And you're driving it.
Yes.
But you're doing it illegally.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm caught up. And then what happens?
So he said, when the title comes, he says, I will, I'll turn it over to you. And I said, oh, okay. So
Why didn't you just ask the dealer guy?
Because I trusted him. I trusted, what he said.
I think you're trying to snow me and trying to, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what you're doing. You can't drive. You want to drive, so you get somebody else to register in their name. Now, Pastor, perhaps you can tell me why you agreed to that.
The deal was to get the vehicle registered for the church use and only church use only.
Except that's not what you did. You registered in your own name.
Right, for church uses.
Why don't you just register it in the church's name?
Well, what we wanted to do, the whole idea was, because even before she bought the vehicle, my assistant pastor, Tansy here, we used to pick her up to and from church. We also had a discussion about purchasing a vehicle for her.
Except for
and
you
her
didn't.
children.
Why would you purchase a vehicle for her?
Because she became a member of our board of directors. And we said, well, since you're a board of directors, on our board of directors, we had a discussion about purchasing a vehicle for ministry use only.
Really?
Yes, that was the purpose. That was the plan.
Who's going to drive it?
That she was driving. See, I didn't know about the
She's got a
restriction.
suspended license, but she's going to drive the ministry wants her to drive with a suspended license. That's God's, I can just hear God insisting she drive around with a suspended license to bring people to church.
But see, we didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Well,
She
why
told
did you?
me-
Well, there
because
is
she
none
told
so
me-
blind, Pastor, as he who will not see.
So she has 9 kids, 3 different baby daddies. None of them are paying support. She's in her early 30s. What do you think of her?
I don't know.
You seem scared to say. Anybody got an opinion?
Oh, I think she should be getting something. Like maybe just gets drunk and likes sex. So just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is that motivates her. I'm wondering, is it responsible for her? I mean, look, it is what it is.
Well, you need a license to get married, but you don't need a license to have babies, and I guess it's her right, but I think it's irresponsible.
It's her right, but my God, going inside the courtroom.
What did you think the reason was, if not the obvious, which is she can't drive? What did you think the reason was?
She told me she had a restricted license. I didn't understand what restriction means. I didn't know this.
And you couldn't run a public record? You couldn't go on the computer and go...
No, because I trusted her. I mean, she's a church member. She was a board of our directors. I've known her over 10 years, so I trusted her. That's the bottom line is. I went with her word.
So you go around putting your name to official documents and making... You understand that if she had a car accident in that car and ran over a group of 20 orphans, you'd be sued? You understand that? Your name is on the car? None of that matters? You don't look into that? Well, let me see. Let me see how responsible you are, because as it turns out, we have a little problem, right? Boy, can you pick them. You apparently picked somebody who has his own several $1,000s worth of tickets that are unpaid. Why don't you tell me about that, Pastor?
I wasn't aware of them, because had I known...
You weren't aware of $1,000 worth, $1,800 worth of unpaid tickets?
No, I wasn't aware of them.
Was your license suspended too?
No, actually, no. My license wasn't suspended.
I would cry if I wasn't so busy laughing. The guy you pick, you think you're safe because he's a pastor, is a guy who has $1,800 worth of unpaid tickets. Because what happened? You wake up one fine day, go to your car, it has a boot on it.
Oh, something.
And they tow it, and then they tell you, sure, pay the $1,800 worth of tickets, Pastor. You say, but I'm not Pastor. And then they say, but that's who it's registered under. Pastor Richard Sams. And that's who's going to have to come here to get the car after he pays the $1,800 worth of tickets. Who are you? Come on up. You are?
Pastor Tansy Mason.
Okay. And are you any relationship to him besides co-pastor?
I'm only co-pastor.
And so you put the car in your name, and why do you have $1,800 worth of tickets you're not aware of?
2 of them, I believe, they were from another person that I got a vehicle registered in their name that they got. That I wasn't aware about. I've done it before.
You registered a vehicle in other people's name.
Yeah, for someone else.
Why are you doing this?
Just trying to be a nice guy, that's all.
Why don't you just minister to your parishioners in the way other pastors minister to their parishioners? Because as it turns out, this isn't a good idea, is it?
No, definitely not a good
And
idea.
you aiding and abetting someone who's not supposed to drive and driving is pretty sinful when you really are helping somebody to commit a crime. Because at some point, driving with the suspended license does become a crime, doesn't it?
It does, but I
So-
wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware.
Are you
of
aware
it.
now?
Yes, I am.
How many people have you done this for?
Only Miss Santiago and someone else.
Just the two we caught you on?
No, that's it.
Okay. So now you find out that there's $1,800 worth of tickets, and what do? You just let her car, your car got sold?
Yes.
What
because when I did speak to the man at the towing place, he said since his name is on the title and the registration, he would have to come down and,
Right.
with you.
Yeah, but that wasn't happening. Why didn't the problem just get solved if we had a way to solve it?
I was calling.
She says you were coming on to her at the place. Is that true or
No,
untrue?
that's not true. No,
Okay.
not at all.
Yeah, Anna.
Yep.
There are times that we went to a buffet and I told Pastor's wife would be there. And I said, he would hold my hand. And I said, Pastor, your wife is there. I was like, why, don't do that. Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. She knows me. No, it's not okay. And I would tell him this, like, it's not okay.
She's out $4,393.71, Pastor. Do you see a miracle on the horizon?
I don't know. All I did was try to help her out.
Everybody's all squeaky clean and religious when they're in here. But boy, when you're out there, you're just hustling like anybody else. And then what? And then each of you goes, oh no, the other person should just eat the whole consequence of what happened. Ay, Dios mío. It's a slippery slope, because if you were to buy cocaine from the pastor and then the cocaine were to be of bad quality, and then you were to come to court and say, he sold me low quality cocaine when I paid for high quality cocaine, it was a breach of contract, Judge. I want you to enforce my contract. Similarly, I have you. You have created this situation by picking a guy to make it so that you could drive illegally. It's fascinating. And if I was your wife, I'd be wondering why it is that you're signing cars in other people's names, especially women. I think you're both at fault. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to order Pastor Richard Sams to pay you $3,000. That's my judgment verdict for the plaintiff.
Well, the plaintiff didn't get everything she sued for, but she did get $3,000 from the defendant's side. Pastor, what do you think of that outcome?
Well, judge said what she had to say, so what can I say?
Tell us about trying to hold her hand or holding her hand at
That's
the
not
buffet.
true.
What do you think?
That's not true.
Is she making that stuff up?
Yes, definitely.
Well, what would your wife think about that if you were doing those kind of? Would she be okay with that?
No, she wouldn't be okay, but that's not true.
And will you ever do this again, putting cars
Definitely
in
not.
anyone's name?
No.
All right, head right down this way, okay? All right, so come on in here, and you satisfied with what you came out with here?
Yes.
Yeah. He says it's not true about
It's true.
what you claim are attempts on his part. What do you think he was trying to do there?
I don't know, but it was very uncomfortable.
Well, why'd you go to the buffet with him then? And why did you accept the car from him? Why did you get into these arrangements with him?
I was looking to get a vehicle.
Harvey?
I got to tell you, whenever I hear at least somebody say, oh, you got to trust me, I'm a person of God, it always makes me think, because a lot of people hide behind that when they do bad things. I'm not saying always, but don't automatically assume that, yeah, they can be trusted. Now, we'll do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.